And it's about time we said a very, very, very good afternoon to my next guest, who's a guy called Barry Palmer. Good afternoon, Barry.
Hi, Kevin.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad at all, thank you. Well, first off, for people who maybe aren't too familiar with the name, if I said the name of Mike Oldfield, a very, very famous musician, really, you've got a lot of links with Mike, haven't you?
Yes, I have had in the past. I did an album called Discovery in the 80s. Toured extensively with him, did a few singles, and for a few years we were hanging out together quite a lot. Yeah, and he's good. You know, we all know about Mike Oldfield. He was on the Olympic thing, wasn't he? He was one of the opening artists on the
that's right
Olympic ceremony. I actually missed that, so not quite sure what he did. But yeah, he's a bit of a legend.
He is a legend. I mean, Tubular Bells. I mean, obviously,
what an album. I mean, even now I can play that album, and I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he created that at such a young age. I think he was 18 or 19.
Very, very talented fella.
His talent pouring out of his fingers. You know, he can play virtually any instrument, and well, not just a couple of notes.
He can really play an instrument. So, Barry Palmer, Worcestershire born, Worcestershire born and bred.
Worcester boy.
Born up in the city of Worcester. You started your singing career, what, early 70s, was it?
Yeah, started trying to sing in bands, and I was in a band. I didn't actually join a band in Worcester, but shortly after I left Worcester, I ended up in Scarborough and joined a band called Brave New World, and they were a good band. They were kind of a folk rock band. They had a violinist and a guitarist.
Yeah, five-piece band. They got formed all the way back in '68, didn't they?
That's right, yeah. And they did quite well. And I kind of moved up step by step. The Oldfield connection was a fluke, really. I'd left Brave New World. I'll give you the nutshell version, otherwise we'll be here till 7 o'clock.
I'll tell you what, we've got all day.
You won't have any more guests to fit in. No, but basically what happened was I did the Brave New World thing. That was nice. That took me up to a step where I started making records in London. I then made a record, which I heard about a band who was signed to EMI. I didn't know who they were, but they advertised in Melody Maker, which was like the music paper of the time where they used to advertise singing jobs. And it said, international band requires lead singer, send us your demos to EMI Records in London. So I only had one song, and it was a song called Maybe I'm Amazed that I'd done a demo of. And it turned out that this was the favourite song of the man who was hiring the singer. So I got that job. From that job, I was gigging with them and recording albums, and they had 2 top 30 albums in America. And Mike Oldfield was at a dinner party later on, 10 years later, where someone played a triumvirate album on which I was singing. And he said to someone, "Who's that bloke singing?" And that got that going. It's sheer fluke.
It is.
It's just a bizarre coincidence.
It is. A lot of things are coincidences.
All the best things, I think, are the flukes that happen. The plans, you have them, and what's that expression? If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. It never works. Your plans don't work. They don't work.
But sometimes, isn't it great when just everything just like drops in together?
Yeah. I depend on it.
I think I do, really. It's entertaining because I'm always like wondering like, where the next gig is coming from.
When Oldfield called me, let's get it back to me. I'm kidding. No, I'm not. When Oldfield called me, it was a Saturday morning, and I was living in Yorkshire, and I picked up the phone. He said, "Hello, is that Barry Palmer?" And I said, "Yes." "Who's this?" He said, "It's Mike Oldfield." And I said, "Tubular Bells." What else can you say when someone tells you they're Mike Oldfield? It's like an auto response.
You can't say anything else to that, can you?
I said, "Tubular Bells." He said, "Well, I've done a lot more than Tubular Bells." He was a little bit iffy, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, "Is it really Mike Oldfield?" And he said, "Yeah, I've been trying to track you down for the last 6 months."
And how did he get hold of you?
Musicians Union, which I had been a member of, and I was lapsed. But somebody said, "Oh, I think he's up north now," because I've moved around a bit like you do in music. Yeah. You go where the work is.
Well, of course you do.
I've been in Germany, and I've been in London and other places. But finally, when I realised it was real, that was an amazing thrill. It really was. Mike Oldfield, it didn't compute.
I bet your heart was thumping when you put the phone down.
Once I realised it was him, and he said, "I'd really like to come down. We've got a band together down here at his house in Denham, and I'd like to hear you sing live. I've heard you sing on record." And he said, "I think you've got the voice I need, and I'd like to put you on a record and take you on a tour." And I thought, wow, this is fantastic.
Yeah. And it's just like an opportunity like that would not get presented to you again in your musical career, would it?
You say that, and that is normally true. But the weird thing was, Kev, after that happened, at that moment I'd been preparing. I'd signed a deal with a record company to produce my own solo album. We had producers, we had a studio lined up, we had the musicians booked. I still went for the audition with Mike, and he said, "Can you come and work with me now?" And I said, "Well, I've got this album booked in 3 months' time, my solo album." He said, "Well, can you delay that and come and work with me?" And I said I couldn't. I thought I couldn't, and I didn't. And I turned it down. I turned down that first offer after spending a couple of days with him singing in his house. And I was told by Sally, who was his partner and sort of manager, that I'd missed my chance. She called me and asked me one last time and said, "Look, Mike wants to work with you. Do you realise what a great honour it is that he's even asking you?" And I said, "Yes, of course I do. I do. I really do. But I've booked other things and I've got my musician friends waiting for me." And she said, "He won't give you another chance." And I said, "I'm really sorry about that, but I just can't do it. I would snatch his arm off normally." And then, so that chance was gone. And then 6 months later, after he'd done the tour that he wanted me to do, it was called the Crisis Tour. He had Maggie Riley, who sang Moonlight Shadow, and some other singers. Amazingly, he gave me a second chance.
Wow.
Which apparently he doesn't do, because he's quite a proud guy. I think he thought it was a snub that I'd turned him down. That wasn't the way I saw it. I was just being honest with my own commitments. You know, that was what I had booked up. But he gave me a second chance, and then I took it. Then I went down there, made a record, Crime of Passion. It was a minor hit in the UK. It was a big hit in Europe. And then we went on to do the album, Discovery. That all went great. He was great. It was the only time in my whole singing career that I'd done a proper major tour with top range equipment, proper band crew, properly managed, promoted, sponsors, the whole big money thing, you know. And it was a massive tour.
And how long did that tour last for?
It lasted for about almost 5 months, right across Europe. But for tax reasons, he didn't do any London gigs, which disappointed me, because I wanted to play in London, you know, get my family down.
So you say all over Europe. You did what most of the European countries?
We did them all. We did all the capitals, and we did a lot of the small, extensive Germany, Belgium, Sweden, Switzerland, Spain, Italy. We didn't leave much out. It was a hard slog tour. It was really tough. And we were on tour at the same time as Queen, Police, Michael Jackson. And I don't want to make this sound like I'm chest beating, but it is a known fact that the Discovery Tour outgrossed all those other artists who were competing with us for bums on seats at that time. Because
we're talking like 1970s. There was loads of great bands around in those days, weren't there?
This was the 80s, the mid 80s when this was happening. But yeah, the Police, what a great band they and Michael Jackson was touring, you know.
Well, that's right, and I mean, if you're competing against the likes of like Jacko, and obviously as you say, like Queen, Freddie Mercury, etc. It was a peak
for me.
Well, of course it was.
The album was #1 in Germany for Germany is I think the third biggest market in the world, and it was #1 in Germany for 9 weeks. And believe me, I couldn't believe it. Neither could Mike. But he had Richard Branson's Virgin heavily behind it at the time, and it was well promoted. The tour was well organised. It had sponsorship from Puma, BMW cars, and some hotel group, and it was a really well organised tour. And it was a sellout. And, I mean, I'll never have that experience again, but to have it once when you're a singer,
it must be a real eye-opening opportunity.
Yeah, because you see when you see these big bands like Coldplay and that, and you're a singer in the lower leagues, you think, well, I wonder what that's like. But at least I've done that, and it was a great experience. And I knew at the time I was doing it wasn't going to happen again. I knew that. I knew that I, as a solo artist, would never get to the status of a Mike Oldfield. Not many people do. So I was a realist. But having that belief that this is a one-off made it easier for me to cope with it. I didn't turn into a monster. Like, I won't mention one band member who turned into an absolute pig, you know, because of the lifestyle, because everything was done for you.
Because what does, sometimes it can go to your head, can't it, with some people?
That's exactly what it does do. In a way, I can see that it's easy to slip into that kind of pampered state of mind where, you know...
I think you've got to keep a key grip on reality, haven't you?
You do, but it is a battle, honestly. You may not really, you always think, oh, I'm a regular guy. You can see how people get sucked into this pampered lifestyle where anything you want, you can have. When I had a sore throat one night, and I've sung for years and I've done loads of gigs, occasionally you get a sore throat because you're not trained to sing from the diaphragm. When you do rock music, it's more from the throat. Occasionally you get a bit of the old laryngitis. On a tour like that, that's a major threat. That's a catastrophe.
Well, of course it is. I mean, any kind of throat infection, it would really just sort of like kill it, wouldn't it?
And I hadn't thought about it. I thought, well, I've got a sore throat. I'll rest and be all right by tomorrow. As my sore throat developed through the concert, which was a long concert, admittedly, and it was a hard work concert, and I was struggling a bit towards the end. By the time I came off, there was a doctor, a nurse, and a load of people waiting to treat me to protect my voice for the next gig. It's like Spinal Tap, you know. But that's because there's so much money riding on it.
Yeah.
And all the sponsors and everything else, they have to protect you and they cocoon you in this environment where whatever you want, you can have it while you're on this tour. When it's over,
that's it. It's got a totally different ball game then, isn't it?
It's exactly that. Yeah.
So we're just going to bring you right to like present day 2012. Now you've released, you are releasing a song called Innocent September the 17th, aren't you?
Yeah, releasing a single and an album, Kev. We've got Dave and I have been working. Dave Duncan, my songwriting partner, and I've been working on this album for quite a long time. And we finally got the single done a few months ago, and then we polished off the album quite recently. And we've decided to release them both on September the 17th. And, Innocent is the radio edit that I think you may have in your hand.
Well, that's right. What we're going to do, we're going to play the track Innocent, release on September the 17th. And then we're going to bring the acoustic duo that you brought with us into the studio. And we're going to do a bit of a live session.
Dave and Steve,
can't forget the boys. And, of course, we're also going to talk a little bit in the next bit about one of the records which probably you are most well known for, which is Kenny and the Bump.
I'll explain more on that story later.
let's have Innocent now. It's Riviera FM and it's Kev Starr through till 1 o'clock on Daytime Live.
This is Riviera FM.
You're innocent, you know. You're innocent, you're innocent.
Track. You don't know until you've tried. Don't give up. You won't always feel this way. You're not alone. I am standing at your side. 'Cause I know. So I understand why you feel the way you feel. There's a shadow hanging over you, but it's not your fault because you're innocent, you know. You're innocent, I know. You're innocent, you know. You're innocent, I know. You're innocent, you know. You're innocent, I know. You're innocent, you know. Innocent.
Released on September the 17th, Barry Palmer and Innocent. Barry, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Kev.
Great to have you with us. Now, we talked just before the break about Kenny and the Bump. Now, you said there was a little story surrounding this,
well,
didn't
there
you?
is, yeah. Shall I just dive in and explain?
Go on, just go straight in at the deep end, you might as well.
Well, when I was in this northern group, Brave New World, we were playing some gigs in London.
Uh-huh.
And we were kind of discovered, I suppose, by a man called Bill Martin, who had a partner called Phil Coulter. Now, Bill and Phil were writing songs and producing for the Bay City Rollers and various other people. And they came backstage, they wanted to chat, and they were interested in me as a singer. Unfortunately, not interested in the whole band, sadly, but they were very supportive, the boys, and said, just go for it. So I went to meet them. And I wanted to record, and had always wanted to record, a song by Paul McCartney called Maybe I'm Amazed, one of my favourite songs ever, and one of his best, in my opinion. But they were in a pickle. They'd signed a singer called Kenny, who was Irish, and they'd had 2 hit singles, and they had a production arrangement with Rack Records, and Kenny had left before the 3rd single was recorded. This original solo singer was called Kenny. He went back to Ireland, a bit disillusioned with the music industry, apparently. And they were owing this production record company, Rack Records, one further single. And when they saw me sing live, I think they realised I could sing the kind of falsetto style that Kenny had his hits with. And so they approached me and they explained the situation and said, we're in a pickle, but if you help us, we'll help you. And the deal was I would sing this song in a falsetto Beach Boys style that had been the sound of the previous 2 singles by Kenny, and then they would be off the hook, and I could then record anything I wanted to, which was Maybe I'm Amazed. And this deal was completely discussed, completely agreed, and I got 50 quid for doing an afternoon in the studio in London. I sang all the voices on the bump, and it came out, but they promised me it would be a flop. And they said, we can't guarantee the Maybe I'm Amazed will be a hit, but it's going out on Polydor Records, big label, and we'll promote it. And so the chances are Maybe I'm Amazed will be a big hit and the bump will flop. And then we're all good to go. And Maybe I'm Amazed was a flop.
And Kenny and the Bump.
Kenny and the Bump took off in a big way.
Well, of course, it took off in more than a big way. It literally just went through the roof, didn't it?
It just went crazy. And, when it came out, they didn't want it to... Well, I won't say they didn't want it to be a hit, but they hadn't anticipated it being a hit.
Yeah.
And it suddenly got it got radio play with no promotion because it was a catchy song. And they rang me up I think it was on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night. And the following day, they were filming Top of the Pops, and they rang me and said, would you come in lip sync to The Bump? And I said, what about Maybe I'm Amazed? And they said, well, it's not really happening, it looks bad. You can be Kenny, and we'll get your career going from this point of view. Uh-huh. But it wasn't my style, Kev. It just wasn't. I'm not saying I didn't like it. It was fun, and I used to like the Beach Boys and those kind of harmonies.
And of course, it was a fun record. It was like all in the glam rock era.
Exactly, the bubblegum glam rock thing. And I'm not knocking it as a song at all. Although I might have been a bit snobby at the time, if I'm honest. I might have been a bit sort of thinking, oh, this is bubblegum, not my cup of tea. Anyway, I turned down the opportunity to go on Top of the Pops, and when I watched it 2 evenings later, I saw these guys miming to all my vocals. I did 22 voices that day.
How did you do 22 voices?
No, you just overdub. You sing the lead part, then you double track it, the same thing again, then you sing a third harmony, and then you sing another harmony, then you sing a lower harmony, and it was all done in sections, It was actually easy. It wasn't a difficult job at all. It was really a piece of cake. But I never expected it to take off and didn't particularly want to be associated with it. I wanted Maybe I'm Amazed to be a hit. That was where I was coming from.
Yeah, that was what you were originally
it was serious.
Sort of banking on, wasn't it? Because like that probably suited your musical style, your musical taste, and what you really wanted to do.
And my musical snobbery, if I'm honest. Yeah, it did. It suited all those things. And people said to me since... Because Kenny then went on to have several hit singles, and people said to me a lot, and I don't know if anyone still believes me, I never regretted it, not for 1 second. I didn't want to go on Top of the Pops unless it was singing what I call a proper song, a song with some meat on the bones. But that sounds like I'm knocking the bump, and I'm not. That fulfilled its purpose. Yeah, it was bubblegum music.
It was because what you wanted to do, wasn't it? What you had the passion for.
Exactly. And so I couldn't go on and do it. And people who have said to me over the years, oh, I bet you wish you had now, but I don't. I really don't. I really don't.
Now, you brought a couple of guys into the studio with you today.
Who the hell are they?
Introduce me to the boys, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, sitting on my left here is Dave Duncan. Dave is one of my oldest friends and also a brilliant songwriter. And
Greetings, Dave.
And Dave has been writing all these songs on this new album with me for, several years now. Dave also plays bass guitar, and does the programming of the recording we do. So he's a good all-rounder. And me having a lot less talent, I have to depend on someone like Dave. And I've worked with a couple of other writers in the past. But Dave's my kind of musical soulmate. To Dave's left, we've got another soulmate of mine who lives locally. Steve Davis is a well-known local musician.
Not Steve Davis, the snooker player, of course.
No, not the snooker player. Although you probably are quite good at snookering, aren't you? No, no.
Greetings, Steve. Nice to have you down here.
And Steve's a great guitarist and classically trained. And when we decided we were going to go and do a few live acoustic things, Kev, we thought we'd better get the best people in. And Steve is from that category.
Okay, so what are we going to be singing then, guys?
We're going to do a song that's on the album. It's called Here to Stay, and in brackets, Song for Selwa. And we're just going to do it with 2 guitars. On the album, it's a bit more of a production, but hopefully this will give you an idea of how it sounds if you ever come and see us live.
Okay, Steve, Barry Palmer and Co on Riviera FM. Take it away, fellas.
Once I believed that I could never love again. I had my fingers burned and my whole world turned upside down. You gave me something and you made me understand. You opened up the door, took me in and showed me round. And I never thought I'd see the world this way, so surprising. Eyes wide open, skies are brighter. Never thought I'd see the day when love was here to stay, here to stay. Hey, here to stay. Just one sweet day was all it took to make me see. Now I never can go back to the bad old days that used to be. My eyes are open wide and everything is new. Now the future's looking good, 'cause the future's me and you. And I never thought I'd see the world this way, so surprising. Eyes wide open, skies are brighter. Never thought I'd see the day when love was here to stay, here to stay. Hey, here to stay. Can't believe I found my way to you. Now I understand the meaning, and love is more than just a feeling. Know that everything you said is true, and it's crystal clear while you are here that everything is perfect now. My eyes are open wide and everything is new. Now the future's looking good, 'cause the future's me and you. And I never thought I'd see the world this way, so surprising. Eyes wide open, skies are brighter. Never thought I'd see the day when love was here to stay, here to stay. Never thought I'd see the day when love was here to stay, here to stay. Hey, here to stay.
Guys, thank you very much indeed. That was absolutely fantastic. Barry, well done.
Thank you. Thanks to Steve and Dave, who always perform well. Me, I'm a bit more unpredictable.
Of course, you're not unpredictable. That was absolutely fantastic. I've got to say, thanks for coming into Riviera FM today.
Always
what
a
I'd
pleasure.
like to do just before we say goodbye to you, shall we play another track off your Innocent album?
Would you really do that?
We would really
can't
do that.
believe
I'll
it.
tell you what. I'll leave the choice up to you. We've got 6 tracks on there.
Oh, that's tempting. Do you know, I'm tempted to play a song called Here It Comes Again.
Here it comes again, which is track number 2. Okay, then, Barry Palmer and the boys, Steve and Dave, thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Kev, thank you. It's
It's
been good to talk to you. Catch up with you again soon.
I was going to say, please drop down by the doors of Riviera FM again. We'd love to have you here.
We'll drop by when the album's up and running.
Thank you. It's September the 17th. Looking forward to it. It's
Thank
going to be
you for your
great
time.
when it all comes in. Guys, have a great afternoon in the Bay.
Thanks. Cheers.
You ask me where I'm going, I tell you I'm just passing through. It was such an amazing coincidence, me running into you. Me running into you. You take my hand and squeeze it, tell me this is really nice. Then you kiss my cheek and you say let's walk as you look into my eyes. Yeah, you look into my eyes. But oh, here it comes again. What's locked inside, I'm not revealing. And oh, back on my knees again. I've got to hide the love I'm feeling. You say it must be 4 years. I know it's very nearly 5. Ever since that day when I moved away, I have never felt alive. I have never felt alive. Here it comes again. What's locked inside, I'm not revealing. And oh, back on my knees again. I've got to hide the love I'm You say you must be going, got a million things to do. It was such an amazing coincidence, me running into you. Me running into you. But oh, here it comes again. What's locked inside, I'm not revealing. And I'm back on my knees again. I've got to hide the love I'm feeling.
From the album Innocent, that was Barry Palmer, and of course, here it comes again. Great having Barry in the studio here at Torquay Riviera FM.